Have you ever been to a theme park or been on vacation or had a day where you just thought, I want it to be like this forever? Well, that's probably what Adam and Eve thought. Remember back in elementary school when one kid would ruin it for everybody? Your teacher would say, if one more person talks, we're all staying inside for recess. And then that one girl talked and ruined it for everybody. And then your teacher would say, on Thursday, if everybody brings in their homework tomorrow, we will all go outside for social studies. And then that one kid would forget to bring his homework on Friday and ruin it for everybody. God told Adam and Eve that they could live in this beautiful garden forever and play with the animals for as long as they wanted, as long as they didn't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God said, for if you eat of it, you will surely die. And then Adam and Eve ruined it for everybody. It's because of Adam that we sit here today sinful and separated from God. It's because of Adam that we feel guilt and shame and envy and lust. It's because of Adam that our lives have both a beginning and an end. It's because of Adam that we have to do laundry. I think Adam owes us an apology. He ruined it for everybody. The story of Adam and Eve is important because it not only tells us where people came from, but tells us why we have a sinful nature. It tells us something about our choices and the nature of temptation. In the New Testament, Paul said that when Adam first sinned, sin entered the entire human race. Adam's sin brought death, so death spread to everyone, for everyone sinned. The idea that we are all sinners because of what Adam did in the garden is called original sin. You see, when Adam first sinned, he was acting as our representative. But doesn't it seem unfair that one person could ruin everything for everybody? Doesn't it seem unfair that billions of people throughout history should be punished because of the mistakes of just one person? But you see, we're not guilty because Adam chose to eat the fruit. We're guilty because of the choices we make. We're not being punished for Adam's first sin. We're just experiencing the consequences of the corruption that that first sin brought. When Adam ate the fruit, he destroyed the innocence of the human race. His eyes were opened and he felt guilt and shame for the very first time. And because of that action, our eyes are opened as well. You see, we are guilty for our own sin, but we inherited the ability to sin from Adam. When God created Adam and Eve, he gave them incredible freedom with only one restriction, one. They had the entire world in which to run and play, and only one tree from which they couldn't eat, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, some people say that it wasn't exactly fair for God to put the tree in the garden just to tell Adam and Eve that they couldn't eat from it. But it's important to remember that even though God did put the tree in the garden, God didn't tempt Adam and Eve. Satan did. God gave them boundaries, but it was Satan who tempted them to step outside the lines. That first couple never even complained or thought the rules were unfair until Satan planted that idea in their minds. Because Adam and Eve gave in to temptation that day, we are also tempted to step outside the parameters that God has given us. You see, we also want the knowledge of good and evil. Our eyes want to see what they shouldn't. Our relationships want to experience what they shouldn't. Our reputations want to experiment with what they shouldn't. We are born with a sinful nature, a desire to stretch the boundaries and to break the rules. Listen to what the Bible says about temptation and see if it's something you think Eve should have heard before she went fruit picking. Stop loving this evil world and all that it has to offer you. For when you love the world, you show that you don't have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only the lust for physical pleasure, the lust for everything we see, and pride in our possessions. These are not from the Father. They are from this evil world. If Eve had only recognized that the lust for physical pleasure, the lust for everything she saw, and pride in possessions weren't a part of God's plan for her, our lives would be so much easier. And our lives would also be much easier if we would just recognize that the lust for physical pleasure, the lust for everything we see, and pride in possessions isn't part of God's plan for us either.